Want to welcome you to the next episode of the Brainz Magazine podcast. And today we have Annabella Nassetti. Annabella is the owner at Living Concept. She is an interior architect and a product designer. Great to have you on today's show. Annabella, how are you?
Thank you so much, Mike. I'm very well, thanks. Very excited for this and looking forward to it. How
Me
are
too.
you?
I'm good, we're in February now, a month into the new year, and January was certainly, at least for me, quite a roller coaster, I would say. But February's definitely brought a lot of calm and a lot of clarity. Is that something that you kind of have seen for yourself, or have you had a different experience?
I think that 2025, since the beginning of 2025, is actually it's been a positive shift, I think, and it looks quite bright. I think it feels good, and I think it's going to be a good change. So positive, positive, yes.
Yeah, we can only hope for the positive, can't we? Like I always think that, we always have a choice. Um, I've said it before on this podcast. One of my favorite quotes is by Jim Rohn, who says, "The wind blows on us all, but it's the setting of the sail that makes all the difference." And I think that that is really true when it comes to energy as well.
Of course, it's all about what we set our mindset to be and our surroundings to be. So it's very well connected, and we do play a great part in how positive a life becomes or is.
Yeah. Now you're the owner of Living Concepts, so there's a couple of things here I really want to kind of hit the ground running with, Annabella. First of all, I'd love to know how have you managed to break through a male-dominated industry? Because that's something that I think is quite impressive, and I think other females in particular in your line of work, and even female engineers, need to see more leaders and more people that have really created a shift in male-dominated industries.
Well, I think the first important thing is the personality and the determination of the person in question, which plays a great part. Not, I don't think it's for everyone. You need to have strength, you need to have focus, you need to have a very high level of determination. Of course, you need the know-how, the passion, and the resilience because you are surrounded by all levels of people in terms of different sort of qualifications, from the laborers to the best of engineers, and you have to find a good balance between all of them. It's difficult. How I managed by, to be honest with you, again, when you get to a moment in life that things are not going the way you would like them to go, you create the situation that you want to, the instinct that you follow to, that you think is going to benefit for your life. I was in my 30s, and I think it was 2008 now, and I had recently set up my design and project management company at the age of 30, and was giving promises to my clients, but of course, the main contractors wouldn't deliver. They would just go on to something else, very, very unreliable, pretty, dishonest. So after 4 years, I said, Annabella, you either change job, you can start doing something else, or or you take over the construction side of things. I said, it's about management. And I said, I'm sure I can be a better manager than these guys. So that's literally from one day to the next what I did. I employed the best people that I had because, of course, what's important is the craftsmen, people that work hard, that deliver projects that don't have problems in the future. So I employed the best guys that I had, and that's where I started. It was the best decision I've ever made.
Mm.
Allows me to keep the promises for my clients.
Mm. Characteristic wise, you talked about focus and determination and resilience as well as a know-how. You wrote a book called Fundamentals of Life, and I'm just wondering, are there parallels, Annabella, between your construction and design business and the way that you've gone about rebuilding your own life? Has that really kind of been a parallel? Because that's really what comes across here.
There is for definite a correlation between the two. I came across quite a severe accident when I was very young, and I had to rebuild my life from the foundations up. From the physical, emotional, and psychological aspect, I had to rebuild my life. And I became a very strong person. I became very, I became very agile in finding out what is essential, what is important in life to survive, to succeed. Of course, there's always surprises in life, but it's in the management, it's in the detail of everyday life that you come across situations, and based on your experience, you tap back onto your past and you say, okay, these are things that are directly built in your system that protect you for many years, but you also learn when you get to making the decisions that you have to make something very, very difficult. There's one moral compass that you follow. I mean, that I've been following since I was 20 years old, and it seemed to, prove me right. So I keep on going like that, and keep on doing it.
How does your own expertise in design and construction really set you apart from others? Do you really reflect on some key things within your expertise that kind of put you in a league all by yourself?
Again, I think that, things in life happen and you have to make the best with what happens to you. And I think I chose, after the accident that I had, before then I was studying business and I wasn't into business at all. But accident happened, then I changed. I went to study industrial design. And of course, I was born in Milan, the design capital of the world. And that has had an impact in my life. And of course, my injuries, I got to know my body very well, and also not only my body, but my emotions. And as a product designer, with anything that you see around yourself has been designed by product designer. And every thought behind the product design encompasses everything related to that product. So the reason, the purpose, the why we're using it, and why we're making it, for whom, the cost, how we produce it, etc. So a product designer is very, very detailed in the process of design, and that I think is what sets me apart. As a product designer, I go from very small scale to bigger scales. In reverse to architects, where they go from the bigger scale to the smaller scale. And I think you build from smaller up, then vice versa, So that allows me to scrutinize and look at the details of things to a pretty high level, which gives me the edge in a way to give solutions for clients that normally they wouldn't encounter, they wouldn't, come across because of the approach of design. My approach is very, very personal. It's very, very detailed, very intimate in a way with my clients. And I give solutions that are bespoke. They all want everything bespoke these days. But I've been doing this since I started because it's my passion. And I think bespoke design is what clients want, what they deserve, really. So that's, I think, does this answer the question?
Yeah. I'm wondering because you've talked about detail, you talk about expression, you've used like the word intimacy. So I'm wondering, Annabella, do you have a particular product or design that you feel most represents you? Because I find creatives within their creation, there is some DNA and some expression of who they are within it. Is there one thing that you really kind of say, this really encapsulates me?
It will be a house, because when I take over a project, I completely change the if it needs the space and the proportions of it to maximize the flow of space and the use of space, and most times the value of the property. Many projects I've done where everything is designed and one thing after the other, and it's literally an organic process. So all the individual designs become one big design, which is a home. And I find that most of my clients say, Annabella, when we can walk into the house, time stops. There's something in the atmosphere, in the mood as they walk in the flow, how they live the space that literally provides them with the right energy. And a lot of it is to do with all the products that I've designed come together in a house. So everything in a house, from the kitchens, the bathrooms, the furniture, everything I design. Very rarely I find off-the-shelf products to buy. So everything I do is in connection with the client. That's how they relate to the house. So I would say, in answer to your question, is a house, not an object.
Mm. I think probably one of the key questions that probably most people want me to ask you is what would be some of the key design principles that help increase a home's long-term value?
I think it's the maximizing use of space, giving multifunctional aspects to many parts of the house by, again, bespoke designs. Something standard, of course, is impossible to modify. You start modifying it, you destroy it. Something designed to change in its functions, in respect to what the client needs it for, is designed with multi-purpose. So, I think that's a very important aspect for the value of the house, and also not to make it too personal with the color of fixed things, because the day you're gonna sell it, somebody else might not like it. But of course, the art and the furniture are things that you can easily replace, and most probably a new buyer will want to replace anyway. That can easily have many personal things from the owner, But the canvas in itself, I will keep it quite pristine and minimal.
Mm.
Of course, with all the bells and whistles of home technology and lighting, that's also a lot, depends on the budget.
Yeah. What led you to offer in-house construction as part of your own design services? What made you decide to bring that into your business?
Because I'm a very, I connect with my clients. I devote my design brain to them and my passion, and promising something and not being able to deliver it because somebody else has the power of the management of the site, and putting your whole project in the hands of somebody that possibly is not going to deliver. I said, I can't do that. So I said, let me bring the in-house, the construction team in-house. That way will allow me to deliver. And in fact, since 2008, it was the best decision I've ever made. Since then, clients have been, very happy, and not only with the design, but the way the project's being managed and built, and they can see that there's quite a severe input from my management team and myself to make sure it's always 100%.
You're not just involved in design and architecture, you also are an RTT therapist. And obviously, we've had Marisapeer on the Brainz podcast. She was one of the first people that I interviewed and thoroughly enjoyed Marissa. But how did you get into RTT?
RTT, oh my God. Again, linked to my accident, I didn't realize, but for 25 years I have been in a coping mode. And the coping mode is our system protects us from feeling and seeing things that are real, and it protects us from feeling pain. So, but this lasts approximately 25 years. In fact, 7 years ago is when, from one day to the next, I woke up and I said, "Oh my God, what's going on?" I started seeing, feeling things that I hadn't felt in almost 30 years. And I had already been with psychologists and psychiatrists over the years after the accident, but I got out of coping mode and I fell into depression. And I haven't been in depression since my accident. So I thought, oh my God, what's this? I said, I went to see a psychiatrist, and they gave me antidepressants. And I said, I took them for 10 days and I said, there's no way I'm going to get myself out of this without antidepressants. So forget it. So I started going on to Mind Valley, all this sort of meditation and focus and all of this. And I came across marisapeer. And I downloaded some of her courses that she does. And I said, oh my God, something clicked. And I said, my God, this woman is incredible. And so I literally cured myself with the help of marisapeer's recordings. And once I went to a conference because I said, I need this woman, and I went to a conference and I met her in London. And through one of her therapists, they said, you would be a very good therapist yourself. I said, oh, let's see. So I said, I promised to myself, I said, let's do it, let's see how this is. And because I like to help people, I always find myself that because of my experience in business and in life, I tend to help my friends and people that need. So last year, I did the live course with her, and amazing woman, absolutely an inspiration, and it works. So I'm now an RTT therapist, and it's all coming together. From my design talent to my career to this, I find it as my purpose. This is something which is putting everything together. And it's closing the circle, I think, of what my purpose is in life. And so this is live now, it's happening. So it's quite exciting.
I've got to ask you, what really is the thing that lights you up the most? The design and the architecture or the therapy?
Well, my design is my passion. That is something that, my God, I just could do it 24 hours a day and I don't get tired. ITT is about empathy, is about compassion, is about helping people. And know that I have a tool in my hand that works. Because many people, for doing so many years of normal therapy, that doesn't actually work. And this works in like from 1 to 3 sessions. So a totally game changer in the therapy world. And this is why this is my purpose. This is something which I'm combining, and it's interesting the way you can actually it all comes together somehow. Construction, life, ITT, the importance of your thoughts, your behavior, your actions, etc. So it does all pretty much connect, and it does connect for me. So if it connects for me, then I hope I can pass the message across.
Yeah, I'm thinking about, the work that you do. I'm thinking about the construction, the design. We've talked a lot about, you've talked about multifunctional, you've talked about space, and you can really use these as a metaphor, even within the shape of life. Foundations, the fact that as a human being, being multifaceted, having space to be able to be creative, having space to be in tune with our thoughts. Do you when you work with somebody in RTT, are you kind of, without you knowing it, kind of seeing them as like a construction which has the ability to be multifaceted, that has the ability to change its function and its belief and the space that it holds based on beliefs that maybe not serving them or where there's been trauma. Is that how it works for you? Do you understand what I'm trying to get at, Annabella, there?
I do. I think that like foundations in a building, the foundations are proper, are sound and solid. Everything above is gonna stay level and solid, and it's not gonna collapse. Yeah. Um, I have a funny story about this, but I'm not gonna bother you with this because it would take too long. But life, in the same way, I think the foundations of life are based on, first of all, how we live, our mindset, what we eat. Do we exercise? Do we meditate? We need to feed our body and our mind and our soul with healthy, nutrients. And from this, genuine, authentic thoughts are sort of generated, and also with the help of the environment where we live in. Yeah. And it all interconnects. And I find that if you get to know yourself through meditation, and you will be able to discover tools that you have within yourself to play with, to tamper with, and to test. And you will be surprised how many of these actually reveal things that you had no idea you had, and it's very, very promising in its nature.
Mm.
It's
It
purely
seems, yeah,
organic.
yeah. It's really interesting your journey, Annabella, of how you obviously went through that car accident. Obviously, that really kind of like jolted you, and then you kind of found yourself again. Had to then work through some things that kind of appeared many years later. Broke through male-dominated industry, found your purpose, came across marisapeer, developed yourself as an RTT therapist. What is next for you? There seems to be a pattern of uh, a clear journey and you wanting to move forward and impact more people as well as impacting yourself.
Always followed my instinct in life. And when I started studying product design first time, when I set up my construction company, when I got into RTT. And now RTT gave me a different sort of cloud of information, cloud of tools that allows me to connect what I design with how we are. And there's a strong link between between those two elements, if you know what I mean. And RTT allowed me to come across this process and have an outcome that would generate a new process of establishing alignment between ourselves, a mindset, a body, and our environment. Um, that is what it did for me. And I find it extremely fascinating because, like things happen in order and I just follow what comes to me. And this is how it happened. And I always follow my true feelings because I know I will never get it wrong. And following my heart, I always came across quite, eye-opening and nourishing ideas that with passion and with know-how, you can, dissect and you can bring together in other concepts, in other, methods that in today's world, technology, etc., that's surrounding us, it's good to feel grounded, yeah, because it keeps us grounded, but it also keeps us alive in this moment in time where technology is taking over our lives, AI, etc., right? And we cannot ignore that.
Hmm.
So it's a question of balance, and I think it's money, body, mind, and soul, and of course, life today is what needs to be brought together. And because we are bombarded by so many things, and it's difficult to follow a philosophy or a degree we studied because it's changing so much.
Hmm.
You have to adapt yourself to today's situations
Hmm.
and hope for the best. Hope. And I'm not saying for the best. I know that what I'm doing will be better, but hope that the people with the moral compass in the right place always follow love, and love will always win. Yeah, but if these people don't have the compass in the right place, we're just hopeful that these people are going to align themselves with what's right, and hopefully technology will help us with this. I hope it didn't go off at an absurd tangent, but this is how I work.
Yeah. And what's the next project for you?
My next project is bringing together this concept of life coach, RTT, and holding my clients by the hand, making sure they get something which is not only for their home but also for themselves in terms of energy, and that is what I'm working on.
Amazing. So you're looking to offer your services to not just help change the space and the function of a home, but also to create space within somebody's mind to be able to improve that as well.
No, make sure they understand how the mind works,
Hmm.
and that way they will understand why you know he or she will make the decision ultimately, not me. But I'm going to show them how there's a way to understand what's better for us.
Amazing. And what do you think you'll lead with first, Annabella? Or do you think this will vary from client to client? Will you lead with the design, or will you lead with the therapy and the coaching?
They'll come to me normally because they like the design. So
Yeah.
that's the face of my company, the look of the design, and also the multifunctionality of the houses I do. But of course, with them knowing to get to know their life is how I will bring the two together. And I think this will be quite revolutionary in the way they will discover new things. And it sounds promising. And I think it will come together. But of course, the face of the house, the aesthetics is still what people are trained to read. So
Hmm.
that's what will bring the clients in. But of course, I will be sharing with them this new approach that I'm developing.
Beautiful. Sounds very fascinating, Annabella. How do people find out more about you and your business?
Well, there's my design and construction website, abnassetti.com, or my coaching website, abnassettithecoach.com. So, or if you Google my name, Annabella Nassetti, you're going to find me. But those are my two websites.
Amazing. Before we end this, is there anything else that you feel like you want to share or leave us with as we go about the rest of 2025?
Well, on the 11th of April, there's going to be the launch of my book. So it's a memoir about my life. So it will just, it's going to be some, ups and downs, but also quite a few ups, which are quite entertaining. And that will sort of support me with my coaching sort of launch, which will be in on the 11th of April with Brainz Magazine cover. So that's coming. I'm very excited about that. And so that article is to come and be talking more there.
Amazing. It's been great to have you on the podcast today. Appreciate it, Annabella, and wish you all the best for the rest of 2025.
You too. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.